Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning or good afternoon to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, but It Ain't No Theory. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking plus surviving the New World Disorder. 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 Per usual. Surviving manufactured chaos. Surviving manufactured chaos. Surviving manufactured karma. Surviving white genocide. And surviving the electronic targeting Holocaust. Sounds like an extreme cover-up to me. What a mouthful. Anyways, I am just so happy to be here with you all today. The time is currently 11:11, Tuesday morning, August 20th. 2024. So we are indeed surviving this manufactured hell. I am your host, everybody. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair Part 1, 2, and now 3. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS systems, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. So for those of you who probably don't know, if this is your first time joining the program, I talk about gang stalking on this program. And gang stalking is a hate crime or a crime against humanity. And so targeted individuals or trafficked victims are predominantly women. 65 to 70% of targeted individuals are white American women or those who identify as such. This makes gang stalking an illegal operation or hate crime that is sexually and politically motivated towards American women and their children, family, or supporters. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0. This is so classified that many of their wives, girlfriends, and family members don't even know, or at least they act like they don't know, what it is that it's actually called. And it may be called something different. I know that gang stalking is the street term or the slang term, so I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain that the FBI wouldn't call it that. And if you try to bring it up to them, they're going to act brand new. They're going to act like they don't know what you're talking about, and they're going to gaslight you. So brace yourself for that. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0, is to subvert all of the target's potentiality, to terminate and to punish all supporters and sympathizers, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections, and networking ability. It's 8:46 on a Tuesday morning. Chapter 18, Overview of Harassment Methods Used by FBI's COINTELPRO Operation Gladio. Covert Community Recruits and Stay Behind Armies, or Instruction Manual for Community Gang Stalkers. From Appendix 4, Total Individual Remote Control Technology by Omniscience. Organized Stalking and Electronic Harassment, the new high-tech generation of COINTELPRO counterintelligence program. In a nutshell, government sources are using directed energy weapons and artificial intelligence to terrorize, threaten, intimidate, discredit, silence, torture, and murder dissidents. In addition, security contractors, amongst others, are being hired as military thugs to gang stalk targets. Quote, inflicting as much pain and suffering as possible without leaving any marks, end quote. Directed energy weapon programs revolutionized this. Counterproliferation programs are intended to subvert the potentials of a target while punishing them with psycho-sadist techniques. The perversions of COINTELPRO counterintelligence program are notable. The perversions of COINTELPRO counterintelligence program are notable. That's what this entire program is dedicated to, exposing. The perversions of the COINTELPRO are notable. Modern day counterintelligence program objectives. These are counterproliferation centered programs intended to subvert all progress, to discredit the target, to character assassinate the target, to slander the target, to taint the target's image, to misrepresent the target, to suppress the target's monetary success, to suppress the target's good character qualities or people's awareness of positive aspects of the target, to arrange a partner for the target, to mind control the partner of the target, to destroy relationships of the target, to destroy relationships of the target. I think I'm going to leave it off right there. So the street theater is synchronized with an electronic harassment or social engineering attack. So that's what you see right here on my Facebook under this Stop Gang Stalking album. So the chick that they photoshopped and put under a false name and just dressed up exactly like the undercover agent or actress that was performing street theater. This chick was following Jaron. If you look closely, he's not following her, she's following him. And that's accurate because they are stalking us in reality. So anyways, on the left here we have some street theater that took place, I believe it was April 29th, 28th, 2023. while Jerron and I were out and about, running some errands, doing some shopping, and just what have you. And Jerron stopped and said, "Damn, she's fine," and bit his lip. I did a whole entire video on this. And I've gone over a lot about how they use sexual exploitation to sexually oppress. And I just went over how it attacks the relationship and attempts to put divisions there, distractions there. And my entire YouTube channel is dedicated to providing evidence that supports this corruption scandal, or whatever you want to call it. I think they're called woke mob crimes against humanity. All of the news that you guys are getting, or all of the news that you're seeing pop up in your algorithm, every single thing that's on there is a distraction. And this is what they're working so hard to conceal right here, the truth. So anyways, like I was saying, the chick in this picture that followed him, the Photoshop dressed up version that followed him online, it does this to synchronize the street theater with an electronic harassment attack. And that's more or less what it means to be gang stalked. Your device is hacked, and every function on your electronic device is compromised. So you're being monitored through the device. In addition, everywhere that you go, whether on foot or in person, is also being tracked and monitored by these agents or whatever. So you can see here how that street theater will then be synchronized with an electronic harassment attack. That's why the word synchronize is so popular. That's why it's so trendy. That's why everybody sees it, because the street theater that they're seeing is synchronized with an electronic harassment attack. This is the economic crisis. This is Biden's America, or just whatever. And so you can see Kamala Harris right here. Kamal and harass on the left here. And the photoshopped version that is better looking actually has a fatter ass on the right there. So anyways, Jerron wasn't following this. This person online was actually following him. And you can see how far out of its way it'll go to try to create a division. This is so that they can mind control misfortunes. So they can ultimately control the fate, the destiny, the will of the trafficked victim, the female TI. And so that it doesn't have any support. This is all the idea here. I've gone over this so many times. I love when the world, well, I don't love it, but I'm just saying, when the world attacks me with its lies and its corruption scandals the way that it recently has been doing ritualistically, my family and I love the fact that I'm able to do a show, provide evidence, and speak the truth. And that is something that so many people are so afraid to do. So anyways, she's not fine. She's fat, and there's nothing for me to be jealous of. The one on the right is better looking and has a fatter ass. Because like I was saying in the text, back fat, love handles, that's not ass. That's just a plumber's crack. It's disgusting. They look like dudes. So anyways, now, everybody in the family will probably, if they watch my YouTube channel, all of the silent operatives, if that's what they are, if they're brainwashed or if they're zombies because of the propaganda, they're gone, like my parents are gone. They're never coming back. Okay. So they're lost. Lost in space, mental space, that is. They entertain delusions of grandeur, and they entertain schizophrenic hallucinations. They can't or won't entertain anything reality has to offer. They don't know how to accept reality. They don't practice radical acceptance at all. That's just not something that they're even capable of doing. You need a conscience for that, first of all. Second of all, most of these people in Geron's family, when they hear my conspiracy theory and how I break down the mock death ritual on my program, they will probably say that I am crazy. Okay. That is understandable, because I understand some of my conspiracy theories are pretty wild. I wouldn't say crazy. You haven't been on the inside of a psych ward, so you probably don't even know what real crazy is. Okay, so I wouldn't say crazy. That's a little extreme. But you're entitled to your opinion if you don't have a very broad vocabulary, and crazy is the only word you know how to describe somebody who is extremely intelligent. Well, then by all means, have at it. But so if I am crazy, for the sake of argument, let's just say you're right, and I am crazy. He's not sitting over here checking out his cousin's murderers or conspirators. Let's just say murderers, okay? This whole situation gets so messy. All right. So if I am crazy, then how do you explain this? Because my truth has never wavered. As crazy as it sounds, you all heard me tell the guy from the FBI the same story I'm telling you, and it has never wavered once. The thing that I like about the truth as well is that you never need to remember. You don't need a good memory, because it's the same story. The first time you told it as it is the last time you'll say it, or the last time you'll tell it. So if I am crazy and we're not actively or currently being conspired against, and he's not lusting for his cousin's murderer, then how do you explain this? Why does it synchronize the attack with an electronic harassment attack, precisely how my research indicates and proves? My first-hand experience proves this. What do you think a hate crime or a hate ritual entails? How do you think the government goes about sexually oppressing women? How do you think the government goes about manufacturing mental illness? Primarily those within oppressed populations. How does the government manufacture any oppression? How do you think they do this? What do you think they do all day long? Sit around and jack off? Nah, that's Kamala Harris. So anyways, if I am crazy, and if every single thing that I say is just one fucking schizophrenic hallucination, how the fuck do you explain this? Because the evidence just keeps piling up. And all of the news, all of the wars that you see in the news, it's a subliminal parody for what's really going on. It's all a distraction. It's all a lie. These are woke mob crimes against humanity. These are individual targeting. This is a genocide and a Holocaust. 110% all the way around. This is sexual exploitation. And this is what I advocate on behalf of, or just, in general on my program, trying to give as much evidence as I can, providing how this hate crime or this hate ritual is occurring. So you can see here, like I went over last week, I went over the entire handbook, and I had to rebuild my entire life that they destroyed after I was fired. I had to reconstruct my life with words of truth, just truth, period. So after the world comes and targets me and destroys and sabotages everything I own, my reputation, my personality, all of my relationships, my job, hell, even my dog, my child as well. You've seen it for yourself, one after another. With all of these mind-wiping, mind-raping, brainwashing techniques, this hypnosis that they're doing. And of course, they got to come in with the model, the electronic harassment on the right, because the one on the left, she wasn't all that. So in order to fuck with his memory, to make him think that, or remember it differently, to make him think or remember that she was hotter than she actually was. And in order to facilitate an electronic holocaust, so that way they can manufacture consent for the mock death ritual, you see. This is how it's being done. This is how it's being orchestrated. Like I said, the one on the right has a fatter ass than the one on the left. The one on the left is just chubby. Period. Anyways, it doesn't think for itself. It's not doing this because it likes Duran. It's not doing this because it wants to. It doesn't have free will. It's a robot. And it can't think for itself. If it can't think for itself, then it certainly can't speak for itself. If it can't speak for itself, then it probably doesn't walk for itself. If it doesn't walk for itself, then what the fuck does it stand for? So this super fat chick on the left that is participating in this organized hate ritual is jealous of myself, and not the other way around. It's interesting how the one on the right actually does kind of look like me. So if it's not what I say it is, if it's not precisely that, if I am just crazy, how do you explain this paper trail? How do you explain all the other overwhelming fucking amount of evidence that I provide on my program? How do you explain that? And another one of the things I wanted to say is the story is still exactly the same. I'm telling you the same exact story I told the FBI. And you want to know why I told them that? Not only is it the truth, but they are not just going to try to sweep the fact that my devices were hacked under the rug. If you want to do an investigation, which I don't believe you have a case, but that's my opinion. Do what you will. Could care less. I'm still speaking the truth. So anyways, if you want to do this investigation, you're not going to shy away from the fact that the devices were hacked, that we are being tracked and monitored online and in person every day, all day long, even while we sleep. Our children too, our family as well. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is because everybody in the family will say that my conspiracy theory as to the mock death ritual, that it's not substantial. It doesn't really hold up. There's no evidence to prove that. I understand that there's not a lot of evidence. There's not. Again, I will say, what do you think a hate crime entails? Like a real one. I'm not talking about the Jessie Smolletts of the world. I'm not talking about the stuff that you're force-fed in the news. That's not the real deal. I'm talking about true, organized crimes against humanity that are hateful and malicious. What do you think that entails? If not a mock death ritual, then what? How else do you drive somebody to the brink of insanity and stage a synthetic suicide programming? How else would the government go about manufacturing oppression in order to manufacture crime, hate crime specifically? Give it a gander, won't you? Instead of just calling me crazy, look at the evidence and do the research. Look at the facts. Check it out. Take a moment. If you're not working, you ain't got shit better else to do anyways. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're going to work? Even if you are going to work, you're working a fake job. That job is more than likely a front for the mob. That's why you see so many of these people are working when really all they're doing is gang stalking. Okay, gang stalking is not a real job, but they're just taking they're abusing their positions of power, so they're taking the matters into their own hands. And these are not the type of people that you will be able to take to court. I've already tried. These are the type of people that are above parliaments that will commit acts of genocide simply and merely to mock their enemies. What do you think millionaires do all day long? What do you think billionaires do all day long? Do you think they're going to sue me for slander? Get fucking real. So anyways, as a hate ritual or a hate crime goes, they like to stage a synthetic suicide programming, and one of the ways they go about doing this is by facilitating a mock death ritual. This is how they make the victim of this, the surviving victim of it, this is how they cause them to go crazy and lose their minds, because they're constantly mocking them. It's not just that one time. Fuck no. It's all day, every day, day after day. So you can see here on the left what she really looks like, and then you can see there on the right what she thinks she looks like, which coincidentally looks more like what I really look like in real life, not a photoshopped version of my body either. And I will say that it is discouraging because, you know, I don't even have money for clothes. I don't even have money. I'm oppressed to the point where I don't even have money for nice clothes like this. So you guys are trying to make me compete, forcing me to compete while you're sexually oppressing these female trafficked victims. And this is how you're going about doing it, trying to make them compete when they don't even have what the fuck. It's okay though, because I look better with my clothes off anyways. That's when I feel fully dressed anyways. And I know I'm working with a lot more than what this little chubby fucking pig ass will ever have. That's why she feels so threatened, or whoever she works for feels so threatened in the first place, that they have to oppress me and deprive me of everything, every single fucking thing. So yeah, so the version that the public gets of these people is the oppressed version of them. or the suppressed version of them. It's not their best self. It's not their best lifestyle. It's not their, no. You're getting the absolute worst of the worst, and they're doing this so they can have as much narcissistic supply. If you guys know anything about dark psychology, the therapist will tell you this themselves. It's all bullshit because it's all manufactured. The therapist is guilty in conspiracy, crimes against humanity. 100, tenfold, baby, tenfold, baby. So, it is all of the research that you're ever going to need is there in my program. All of the truth that you're ever going to need is there. The reason why I continue to do this program is because I'm in fear. I live in fear now for my safety. This is the only justice I get. This is the only thing that I have left. I mean, they have literally robbed and raped me for every single thing, including my relationships. This is how. And then, the gentleman that called from the FBI, which, to be 110% with you, to be totally honest with you, no bullshit, I don't even think that guy worked for the FBI. So, that's how crazy I am. But if you guys had any time at all to listen to the recording, you will notice how the timing of the recording is exactly 18 minutes and I think either 10 or 11 seconds. I gotta double check. So that's their chapter 18. That's their gang stalking handbook manual. Those are the numbers. That's their little death cult or whatever. But towards the end of the conversation, and you can really tell that this is the type of person who is so brainwashed, they don't even view the person, the target or the victim, as a human being, which is why I don't think it worked for the FBI at all. Because they don't see us as people. They see us as objects, slaves. And no matter what we say, we're guilty just for being poor. They want to try to criminalize homelessness. That's why they're making everybody poor, so that they can criminalize being poor. Anyways, and it's all manufactured. They took me from a middle class, somebody who was well known, had a great reputation for having multiple jobs, a hustler. They took me from middle class to lower class, and now we live in poverty. We were forced into that oppressed population. This is how. So don't judge me. Don't judge my living conditions. I was coerced to live this way. And it's ongoing. So anyways, the gentleman that was on the phone was forced to call me by my real first name, which is not something that these gang stalkers know how to do or are even capable of doing. They don't see human beings as people. They're slaves. And what do slave owners do to their slaves? They torture them. They beat them. They ruin their lives. The slave does whatever the fucking slave master tells them to do. It's really that simple. And when they don't, they get tortured. And even if they do, they get tortured, That's kind of more or less what it means to be a slave. And it's just really, really sad that there are actually more slaves now than there's ever been in the history of mankind. This gang stalking, this is why. Well, I will say two things. One, really interesting how this guy, which I think was an actor that said he worked for the FBI, really interesting how half-hearted he attempted to pretend like he cared at the end of the phone conversation. He did mention something about, have you seen the news? I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly what he said, so I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something about, have you seen the news? It's really tragic. Well, do you know the psychological operations that took place way ahead of time before those stories even made the news? Because that's the conspiracy that I am unraveling here on my program. That's what I discuss here on the program. The truth that the rest of these fucking gang stalkers and silent operatives work so hard to conceal, so much to the point where their own wives and families don't even know what it is that they do for work when they work for the military. That's how fucking dirty they are. That's politics. That's American politics. But it's not just American, because they are sending these rich kids in from overseas to gang stalk these targets. Oh yeah, boy. Yes, sir. So you've got hundreds, possibly thousands. My research indicates as many as 30,000 people in a botnet crime syndicate, and that's just one alone. So these targets are being oppressed systemically every day, all day long, precisely how the handbook manual says. Everywhere they go, they are being maliciously harassed by these gang stalkers. They are running dark psychological operations, which is the dark psychology aspect of this, which would be the trauma-based mind control, the neuro-linguistic programming, and so on and so forth, the social engineering attacks. The trauma-based mind control, and they are not just doing this to me, I'm not alone. This is everybody, just about. But I will say, some people are more high-profile targets than others. I just so happen to be one of those people. And according to the research, I fit the profile to the T. So they've got these people coming in from overseas, all of these rich folks' kids, constantly gang stalking these targets. And they, I guess they're under the guise of some sort of climate activist or, some fucking bullshit that's not even real. They gotta just keep finding and making up new, bigger words so they can conceal the truth. Essentially, it's slavery, it's trafficking. That's what they're working to conceal. They send these fucking kids to these prestigious colleges to get these or obtain these jobs, that are high positions of power. Let's say chief of police. Let's say they went to school for some sort of economics. I don't know. Let's just say whatever the fuck they're going to school for is not what they are actually doing. Their job title is a front for the woke mob crimes that they're committing. So, they will come out as an actress or an actor under the guise of some bullshit protocol. But all it is doing is mobbing. That's all it's doing. So the targets or the victims are being mobbed all day, every day, 24/7. The family as well, the pets as well. Exactly how, precisely how, the handbook says this is going to be your democracy each and every single time a Democrat gets into office. Then they will exploit their mental health. They will sabotage their reputation. They will sabotage every single relationship that they have They will force the victim into an oppressed population so that the victim has no free will and at this point is a slave and may act out or react out violently. So then they can exploit their mental health, rack up their medical record. They can falsify documents so that there is a reason to slander them, to character assassinate them. Because if they don't have a record, then what's the point, right? When this all started, I had only been arrested once for petty theft when I was 18 years old. I had never been in trouble with the law before that or after that until this entrapment operation began. Also, too, I've never had like an outstanding time or like gaps in my employment until now. Sure, there's been times where, you know, a few weeks went by, maybe a few months even, or when I, for instance, when I had Silas, there was maybe a year or two, possibly 3, that went by before I went back to work. But I was always working consistently and many times multiple jobs. I was always making money. This is the first time in my adult life that I haven't had an ongoing, consistent workflow, employment. This is the first time. This is all done because of the gang stalking, because of the psychological operation, because of the military, because of this martial law. So I said I was tracking the job application and employment process. They'll hire you, but then they'll discriminate you. They'll sexually exploit you. They use the device that was hacked to perform all of these synchronized attacks, one after another. And then they turn around and they try to call the target crazy. So if I am crazy, how do you explain this evidence? How do you explain the phone hack? How do you explain the phishing? Because that's conspiracy. So you're not going to try to do the full investigation without radically accepting the fact that these devices are hacked and compromised, that my life as a result is also compromised. Every function, every thing, every aspect of my life has been flipped upside down, corrupted, inverted, and sabotaged because of this gang stalking. Every single person that sits there and does nothing is working for the military, is responsible for conspiracy. Every person that calls me crazy lacks a conscience. The only reason why you're calling me crazy is because you lack a conscience. If you had a conscience, you would be able to see for yourself the overwhelming amount of evidence and how it aligns perfectly with the research that I've done and the experience that I'm having. You would also see how my story never wavers. Not even at the threat of going to prison. And a lot of these people have the nerve to call them a Christian, and they deny the truth. They deny the truth any space to exist. This gang stalking is a cover-up. It's an extreme cover-up. Do your research. Before you call me crazy, do a little bit of your research. If you don't have time to do your own research, watch my YouTube channels because I've done all of the research. So I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Why do you think every single one of the female co-workers that Jerron is directly connected to at work, why do you think he always calls her sis? Do you think that's a coincidence? Or do you think that that is a mockery? The neuro-linguistic programming and the trauma-based mind control. No wonder she always reminds him of his sister, because they're mocking him. She already knows every single thing about him. So does the boss. You have to already have this information and have had it obtained in order to facilitate trauma-based mind control, neuro-linguistic programming, and social engineering attacks. It is no coincidence that the female coworker always reminds him of his sister, because they performed a mock death ritual, and this is his customized punishment action plan. Before this one, there was another one. Don't you think that's a little too coincidental? Same exact thing. So close in culture, they're practically family. That these are all woke mob crimes against humanity. It's not a coincidence. Just like it's not a coincidence that this chick is wearing these same exact leather pants, belt, and same color shirt. I'm going to continue to cover this, and there's going to be even more evidence as time goes on, not less. Because these criminals, they don't take days off. The enemy does not take a day off. The devil, Satan, does not take a day off. These criminals cannot help themselves. Criminals are going to commit crime. That's what they do. Most of these types of honeypots that you see, this is white-collar crime. They belong in the same cell, the same exact cell, next to the fucking drug addict tweaker that they send in, that they give crack to perform street theater. They belong in the same fucking cell. So don't tell me I'm crazy because I'm sitting over here judging you for masturbating to your cousin's killer. Because I'm not crazy. What is so crazy about the truth? Why do you hate yourself so much that you can't even practice radical acceptance? Why do you hate God so much that you can't give the truth any space to exist? That sounds like a psycho-sadist. Ain't that the fucking pot calling the kettle black?